A new bill signed into law by the governor this week is designed to reform assisted living facilities in the state with an emphasis on memory care and other dementia-related services. And joining us now is Dana Marie Kennedy. She is the state director for AARP. Good to see you again. Thank you for being here, and congratulations on this. Is important to you, wasn't it?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Ted. And this was very important to AARP and a lot of work that I've done regarding making sure that our assisted living facilities and memory care facilities, and as well as all of our long-term care facilities, are better regulated and make sure that the protections are in place to protect our loved ones who are in these facilities.
What does the bill call for?
The bill calls for, first of all, there's going to define what memory care is. So a lot of, we're seeing these memory care facilities pop up all over the valley. And a lot of times, that's all it is. It's called a memory care, but often the only person who's actually trained in these facilities is the administrator. Not always, but sometimes. So this would actually require every single person who works in these facilities to have at least 8 hours of training. And then if they leave for a period of time, when they come back, they're also going to have to renew that training. And they will actually also need to look at everybody who works in a facility and check their status against the Adult Protective Registry. So right now, there's not protections in place, making sure that people are not on the Adult Protective Service Registry, meaning they might have abused or neglected somebody. So it's actually going to check the current employees to make sure that nobody has done anything that they shouldn't be working in a facility like that.
The training for 8 hours, it was 4 hours, correct?
Yeah.
I know other states are even more than that, 12 and 16 hours, but 8 hours good enough for now?
It is good. And keep in mind, this training is going to be specifically dealing with people who have memory issues, people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So a lot of times people don't understand how to communicate better with them, making sure that, if they understanding the symptoms of the disease as well. Sometimes they can get very volatile. So making sure that the staff are properly trained. And let me be clear, we want to make sure that the staff in these facilities have the tools to do the best job that they possibly can. And if we don't train them, they're not even equipped to do the job that they should be doing.
Right. The law also increases the caps on fines against facilities that endanger residents, true?
Correct. So right now it's $500. And so what this does is it actually increases the fine to up to $1,000, up to per day, and per resident that's impacted. So that could actually be a really hefty fine. So one legislator, he said, how do we know that $1,000 is enough? Fair question. Maybe $1,000 isn't enough, but per resident, per day that is impacted, that could really add up.
How do we know that those residents were indeed endangered? How do we figure that the fine is necessary for X, Y, or Z?
So that's actually going to go in the rulemaking process. So there's probably going to be some type of a model. So depending on what the damage was to the resident, there's going to be probably a fee structure regarding, obviously if you neglected somebody, that would be a stiffer penalty. We've had instances of people who are abused. If they were abused, hit, neglected, that would be a stiffer penalty. If they forgot their medication, depending on what the medication is for, that could also have a stiffer penalty. You might have read some of the cases regarding in the Arizona Republic of residents hurting other residents because they weren't provided with their medication.
Yeah.
So I still think that there's work to be done, but this is a really great step.
As far as the memory care standards are concerned, it sounds like this requires the health department to either come up with standards or increase the standards. Which one is it?
Come up with standards.
They didn't even have the standards in there, did they?
No. So we're going to actually have to define what the standards are. So we look forward to that process. So some of this actually happens, after the legislative session is over, and there will be some meetings, and the public can weigh in regarding these standards as well.
Is there a standard as far as overall inspections are concerned? Is that in there?
Well, that was heavily debated regarding inspection. So we want to make sure that a facility gets inspected at least once a year. Some facilities actually got a pass if they had a certain accreditation. And very few facilities actually have this special accreditation, which means they've gone above and beyond to get this special accreditation. And they actually wanted to give them a pass that they didn't have to get inspected every year. We fought them at that. And so we're going to keep making sure that all facilities are inspected every year.
What about the idea of hiding and erasing past violations? I know that has been an issue. Will that still be an issue?
That should be resolved. So what happened before is you might have had a board of directors or people who own these facilities, and maybe one person's name was on it. And then they had all these fines. And then they transferred the ownership to somebody else, a family member. That's not going to happen anymore. The Department of Health will now have better tools to stop that from happening. So again, this actually gives not only the department heads the tools to make sure that they're able to enforce these laws. We've seen sometimes they don't have the tools available to them, and that they can just transfer this ownership. So this is actually putting some rules in place to stop that from happening.
You mentioned the Arizona Republic and their stories. How big a deal was that investigative series as far as getting this law enacted?
So it was a big deal, absolutely. And, it really highlighted what was happening in these facilities. We had been sounding the alarm for years. Over 5 years I've been working on this. But COVID had actually exacerbated what was going on in these facilities. And also when families were able to get back into these facilities, there were all kinds of problems. We knew that was going to happen, but it really got exacerbated. And one person reached out to the Arizona Republic, and that started the wheels spinning. And the first thing that happened also was Caitlin McClade, excellent reporter, she actually was looking into the NCIA board, which oversees the license of all the administrators. So she started looking into that board. So this also changes that board. So it's going to have a family member on that board, and making sure that there's a little bit more accountability built into that NCIA board.
So things are getting done, the new law, and again, it's a big deal.
It's historic. I mean, we've been working on this for a really long time, and let's just mention, this was voted on 59. Not one person voted no, just one person voted no vote. And so I think that that's historic, that just the fact that we got so much support when we're actually increasing regulations in the state of Arizona. And, the governor also championed these bills as well. So, her staff was there, at every single stakeholder meeting, making sure that things continue to move forward. And I would be remiss if I didn't give great credit to Representative Dunn, the sponsor of this bill.
From Yuma.
He was a champion for this, and he did a great job with the stakeholder meetings. And anytime we got off track, he would say, remember why we're here. It's because of the family members and the residents in these facilities. And also Representative Wynn, he also had some great bills that got into this, making sure that we check the APS registry. We're not done with everything. We'll be coming back next year, working on more regulations for sure.
All right, but we'll certainly have you back, Dana Marie Kennedy, AARP of Arizona. It's good to see you here. Thank you for joining.
Ted. Thank you so much.